Hello there. I am Kat Hobson, and I am your host Paranormal Experience Radio. For those that don't know, I do this show every week. I'm having technical problems out the wazoo tonight, so my
Cat, you're
apologies.
real
A
blurry.
fantastic video to bring you all
You're real
Scotland.
blurry.
And here is Carl Anderson, who is absolutely.
Can you hear me? You can't hear me.
It's been a day.
Yeah,
So
we're having
just
technical
excuse
issues
it.
here,
It
folks.
has been some kind of nutty. Now,
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
Can you hear me now?
You can't
Okay.
hear me?
Yeah. Your picture was real blurry and freezing up on that computer.
Yes.
You may have to go back on your cell phone. Okay?
Okay.
Yeah. People, we're
Let
just
me
having
get
some
that
technical
up.
issues, so stay tuned with us. We'll get Kat all squared away here in a second. But
Yes.
no, she's had computer problems like crazy today. And this is the second or third computer she's tried. So
It's
we'll
not
get,
just the computer.
I
So,
know, but we'll get it going here in a second and she'll be talking to you. So just stay tuned, everybody. She'll be popping up. Her phone's got a real good, clear picture on it. But when she first came on, she was so blurry and freezing up. Okay. I'm going to take this one down and bring her up.
okay. It looks like I'm up. And I'm trying desperately to close that. Okay. So, how you doing? Right? This has been a day and a half, maybe 2/3, because I have been trying and struggling. Y'all are just going to have to bear with me. Hopefully, I'm not going to make y'all sick with all the moving around. So, I have been having computer glitches. I had the most wonderful, wonderful video made from all the places I went in Scotland, and it was so much fun. But I can't put it up here. I'm so sorry. But I can tell you a little bit of something about it, or you can just sit there and pop messages and chat, whatever you want to do. I apologize so much for this inconvenience for my listeners. I think that every so often the gremlins get involved. I will always believe that. But yeah, it's not the end of the world when that happens. So, one of the things that I think is a lot of fun, and one of the things that I learned when I was in Scotland was that you just really need to be able to row with the flow. The first time I was there, a lot of y'all know it was tough, right? It was something that we had paid about 4 grand for our trip, and it didn't work out simply because of the lack of organizational skills and um, the lack of compassion that our tour guide had. Um, I say it a lot, and I've said it for over 2 years now, that while I can never recommend that tour company, I would not. I was abandoned in a hotel with my roommate where no one knew where we were. And it was, I mean, it was Scotland. I did not feel overly concerned, but it was a little freaky. My roommate, who had not traveled all that much before then, was freaking out a little. That's okay. We got okay because Rick McCollum came to bat for us. And that's what happens when you have best friends that are pretty amazing too. But this trip, we just decided that we were going to do it ourselves. And we did. Rick, well, we didn't do it just ourselves, but there were 5 of us. You've seen Lori and Mikey on the show. They were great. And I know I've talked about it before now, but one of the things that were so perfect was Rick's connections with so many people in Scotland. Rick is Scotland's biggest fan, next to me, of course. But we had the greatest time because, we were with people who were in kind of central Scotland, below the Highlands. We were with the people who were in Fife. We were in Fife, which is the Kingdom of Fife. How cool is that, right? I think it's awesome. I think that those are probably the people that I knew best going over there, so that was fun. Then we were with people in Perth, and I did not know them, but my gosh, within 30 minutes, I'd known them forever. And if you're Southern, you get that. And if you're not, you need to learn it because everybody does it. And especially in the paranormal community, I have found through different events that I've gone to, different teams I've investigated with, um, just the different exposure to a lot of places, that there's a lot of fantastic people that do what we do. It's one of the things that make this so much fun. And so we were with Scottish Paranormal, the people that do Haunted Scotland. Ryan and Gregor's on there too. Then the people in Perth, the History and Horrors tours. And then we got to go into the Highlands. And that was fantastic because I got to see Loch Ness. There was no way I was ever going to be able to do that. And hello, Lori Dorsey. I am so glad to see you because this was a really tough time getting this up. My video is not able to be here, but it will be next week. Well, I think I have guests already scheduled, but the next time I don't have a show with a guest, it will be here for y'all. But I just was talking about the community, the paranormal community. And one of the things that I learned when we were there is that Rick paved the way with the introductions, but the friendships are real. And I'm so blessed to have met the people I met. Lynn took time out of her entire life for a week to take care of us, and she brought in recruitment. Her dad was there, her sons were there, her husband, who has started doing haunted walking tours in Perth, was there. And it was so much fun to be with them because they cared for us. That's who took us to Bannockburn. That's who took us to the Greyfriars Cemetery in Perth. That's who got us into the Fair Maid House, where we got to be the first people to ever investigate there. And it was cool. Then they also took us to Castle Menzies, our main guest, which was freaking astounding. And through the whole thing, we went to Dunkeld, I believe was the name of it. It was the most beautiful little village I've seen. And they all were so beautiful. But this one had a beautiful bridge that was old school, right? No steel. It was built of stone. It was still standing, right? Didn't break it. But then the cathedral there was being revamped. They had a fence around it because they're just making it beautiful. I thought it was already beautiful. That's where we found energy circles, trees, and Lori was unfamiliar with that. And Lori, you can pop in chat and tell people your experience with that too. But it was so much fun because it was so cleansing. We could have used those the first time we were there, couldn't we, Lori? But it really was a beautiful thing to be able to experience. So we had lunch there, and my favorite part, and those who know me know that everybody has a dog, and everybody's walking their dog, so you get pets. And I don't know if you know that I didn't do my show last week because our small dog Little died. Actually, he was a little dog. His he was little with a monster heart. He was amazing. So Gina Bingston was coming on with me, and we've rescheduled that. And I apologize, but I was in no shape to do a show. It was a sudden, unexpected thing. I dropped my foot to that just to be checked out because he just was a little bit off. And I went for a walk, and I was halfway through it with my other dog, and it was hey Paul, thank you. It was the phone call that no vet wants to make and that no doggy mom wants to get. It was I'm putting this up, guys. Y'all are just gonna have to maybe bear with me just a little bit. But anyway, so I had my other dog with me. We went, and I went so that I took him in so that he could see Little, so that he would know that we didn't just abandon him there. And now we rescued a collie. Be careful what you ask for. I had just told David not too long ago that I hadn't had a big dog in some time. And oh my God, he's huge. But he is a definite rescue. He was found under a trailer. This lady pulled him out. He had been injured. They think he had been abused. Because of the injury, he had a hole in his back. And so he actually was shaved down, which I don't think you should ever do to a long-haired dog, but saved him. And so now our groomer is going to get to start working her miracles with him. And I heard him bark for the first time yesterday. He's got a big baroof, okay? So, but he's beautiful. I'm going to go ahead and post my video after the show. If I can figure out how to do it, it'll probably be on my Facebook. So we'll just do that. But it's not a Mikey Thompson. It's the best at his videos, but it's okay. I don't dislike it because every one of them is a memory. But yeah, I had to get a little distracted after the Little story. So, but anyway, so I am just so thrilled. Thank y'all for being patient with me. It's so appreciated. But I'm a little scattered, right? Because I'm not used to things not working on everything. It was hilarious. If you could have just seen it, if there'd been a video of that, we'd have won some money on Funniest Videos. So there you go. But one of the things that I wanted to talk about was how interesting some of these locations that we visited were. We went to Bannockburn, and y'all have heard us talk about Lori's experience where I found out my best friend's a murderess, but that's okay because I love her. And then, the primary thing for me was after we were through with the tour, well, not with the tour, but with the investigation, and the keepers gave us a tour. And we were upstairs in just the most beautiful room. And looking out the window, we saw deer playing, just frolicking. then I looked over to the corner and it's partially collapsed, but it was a dovecote. And you could hear them. They were still using it. And there was a sundial, there was statuary. I mean, you could get a feel for what it would have been like living in that house, living in that area where there's just so much um, to experience with nothing around you. And I used to think that was cool. Then I moved to Georgia and I actually, lived like that. Tennessee was worse. But I've always been in an urban area. I still am. But I make it, my backyard is very quiet. Um, I I hang out there with my animals and I stargaze. And the funniest thing about this dog that we rescued, his name is Wally, but he had been an outside dog, and we don't really do outside dogs here. But the first night, he just proceeded to sit on his butt and stare at the sky. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is my spirit animal. They all are. I've never had a dog that was not in tune with me and me with them. But it was surprising to see that. And it was a beautiful night. And, you know, I am a stargazer. When I have Orion in my sky, I know that the weather is going to start getting better. And because we have been sweltering, just like everybody else in the country, right? But but Orion's up, the Pleiades are just shining big and bright. And we're going to be, if we're not, I think we're in the midst of them gathering of a planetary parade. You'll have, is it seven planets visible with a clear sky. I love when that happens. It's not something that's very frequent, but I'm a sap for these things. I really am. And so it's something that when I looked over and I saw this dog just like staring with, just in rapture over this sky, I thought, oh my gosh, maybe this is going to work, because I thought it was too soon, but he just turned up. We were thinking about maybe getting another little Aussie so that Tipper would have somebody that looked like him, but didn't look like little, because he was mourning so hard, guys. That's his bestie. And he knew that we were just going to go pick him up, and we didn't get to. So it was hard on him. And maybe all of the glitches that happened tonight were because I needed to talk about this, or was supposed to talk about this. Maybe somebody else is going through the loss of a baby or facing it. And I just want you to know that Wally is our 8th dog. And Kylie lived for, I think, 14 years, which is long for a lab. And our little Max lived for at least 11. Willow had some hip problems. Her hips went out and she had to go sooner. But it's really tough no matter what the circumstance. And if you're facing that, I'm a good source to listen to you, and maybe just to let you know that even though it feels like the end of the world, you're going to see them again. I don't believe that animals who are our friends aren't there waiting for us when it's our turn to go. And because I do what I do, and y'all do too if you're watching this show, the odds are very good that you're ghost hunters. It's something that that we know. We know there's something out there. We know there's something that comes past our being on this plane of existence. And I believe that if we want to, we get to come back around. I think that's why we have so many past life memories. I don't know if it's because we're not getting it right. I think that's maybe we feel like we didn't and we want to. But I think that maybe our animals come back too in some shape, form, or fashion. I will say that my bunny thought that he had been given a reprieve, and it turns out Wally likes to chase bunnies too. So that bunny was having a little bit of a hard time this afternoon, but nothing mean. Just like, oh, look, something to chase. It's one of those things that if you catch it, oh my God, what are you going to do? So, when I had my friend Mikey Thompson on here last week, he was talking about going up to Missouri and doing the Beatty Mansion and some other places as well. Well, I got to talk to my friend Jim, who owns Spirit Realm, this week. And he was like, oh, you should come up. I was like, well, if I do, I can only stay one, maybe 2 nights because we have a newbie and my husband might not be ready for that yet. And so I may be coming up there too. And I think that would be fun. If you're not familiar with Spirit Realm, check them out. It's the Spirit Realm Network. They have some really great shows. They're really nice people. Jim is somebody that I have enjoyed since I've met him. And I'm lucky in that the man who owns the Dark Zone, Jay Bluemke, is somebody that I admire greatly too. It's just when you run into people with fantastic ethics who are also interested in what we do and want to find evidence of it and just totally enjoy the investigating part as well as sharing it with everyone in the world. Dark Zone does stuff. They've done stuff from the Queen Mary. They were doing stuff from the LAPD Museum. They do things everywhere. Jay actually was the founder of Ghost Hunters and the executive producer. He worked with Skinwalker. He's really fascinating. And now Dark Zone is one of the biggest things out there. Spirit Realm is right there too. But it's fun, right? You get to investigate with people that are there because they're excited about it too. Jay was with us on our first trip to Scotland, and he and his bride actually got left in St. Andrews. So it wasn't just me. It was not just me. But that's a whole nother story. But the experience with them was so much fun because Kathleen Burns, who was the executive producer, was there too. And it was a big group of a lot of people that could really have brought attention to that experience, and that they were all treated poorly. It was not just me. I promise it was not just me. But I wished that they were able to come with us when we went back. But Jay and Natalie did on our last night. We all had dinner together because they were on their way to the continent, to Paris. And they stopped just to have dinner with us in Scotland. So I thought that was really awesome. Good people. But I guess I could tell you about the videos I was bringing. But would that ruin it for you when you watch it? I don't know. But I have some stuff from Menzies. I have some stuff from Loch Ness. Loch Ness was an interesting place. The Nessie Hunter has a camper there. Mikey went and talked to him. I'm not one to go knock on somebody's door. Mikey is. So that was fun for him. It was so funny. But I didn't even know he did it until after the fact. Right, I followed him in the door. But the man came outside to talk to people. But when we got there, there's all these um, looks like bags on the top of the water. Well, they were. Those were dive markers where people were underwater exploring, and there were so many of them. It was trippy, right? I did not have any idea that people actually, that water was cold, y'all. I got my feet in because I always put my feet in the water wherever I am. And it was so funny because I had no idea. And I'm like, what on earth? Who would litter this lake? Yeah, I'm that person. I didn't know. But it was so pretty because the mountains come up around it. It's like it's in a bowl, and the housing around there is gorgeous. There's a restaurant that I think COVID took out. It was not open when we were there. Then again with the dogs, the Scots and their dogs, guys. I could easily fit into that, to that culture. But the some of the other images I had were from the graveyard that Gary took us to in Perth. I was unprepared for this, and I had been to the Greyfriar Cemetery in Edinburgh the first trip, and it's right by um, Lori. What is the little dog? Bobby, Greyfriars Bobby, and it was a little black dog. Its owner died, and it's laid on its grave, and for for a long time. But there's a statue of him that's out in front of the little restaurant outside the kirkyard, and people rub its nose for luck, and all the paint's off of it. So I think that they just keep painting it because it's bronzy looking. And of course, right behind him was a giraffe. Lori and I were on giraffe hunts while we were there the first time because they were having a contest. And if you found the most of them, you got one. I was working hard, guys. But the Greyfriars Kirk was something I didn't expect too, because Kirks are what they call churches. And if you've read all the stuff about, oh, well, Kate Middleton, Princess Catherine, went to church at their Kirk in Scotland this weekend. They're up at Balmoral, and which by the way is open. You can go there and tour it when they're not in residence. But it was so interesting because I mean we're talking 1100s and earlier. I can't read that. Uh, oh, now it's Scotty dogs that are there. But the we did see some of those, and I think it's interesting that their arts is so, and their arts groups are so involved. It's really pretty cool. But when we were there that first time, we got to go to Blackness Castle, which I did not know. All this stuff was so interesting to me. I had no idea that we were going to have that many, you know, that much time in a castle. But in Culross, which is a town that you go, you look at the palace, which is small. You go up the hill, go to the abbey, which is so cool. But I mean, it's a teeny tiny town. You can walk the whole town. If you take 3 hours, you must have fallen down a couple of times. But we spent 7 hours there. It was not boring. Um, you guys, we're going to bring Wally in here because I just got a message from my husband that said the dog needs to be in there with you because he hasn't stopped walking. So I'm going to say, come on, Wally. You think? I'm going to take this off so that he can lay on it. No response. Come on, David. Oh, I just saw that says fate. This is not fate. This is Paranormal Experience with Kat Hobson, and I'm so glad that you're listening. So, this is going to be a short show. I don't do that very often. And I actually had toyed with the idea of taking it down to an hour, but I like being able to bring you as much, thank you, as much as I can with our guests. And I think it's important because sometimes an hour is just not enough. But you have to select your time frame. And I went with 2 hours when I first started because everyone that I was guesting with at the time were 2 hour shows. And I thought that was the standard. And it works for me. And it works for my guests too. So I'm not hearing him coming. Excuse me. Exit stage left. And I'm back. Ta-da. But anyway, it's now we just put that right out there. Now we're done. But I think that 2 hours is a good length of time. You're welcome to give me feedback on that, and we will see what happens. Somebody that I'm going to be bringing on the show, probably on Fate, but is a woman who called me today, and this was weird, okay? But I got a phone call. Her name was Cindy. She is younger than me. She has an alien that has been living with her family since she was young. And it's apparently it's not a very nice one. And I hear sounds. But she was talking about it had killed people. And it was a very interesting conversation. So I was talking with Phyllis about that today, so we may bring that on. I don't know what to think about that. If you have had that kind of an experience with one, ooh, creaky doors, that would be Wally. And Tipper. Okay. All right. So now we have dogs. But like I said, I've only heard him bark once. So probably you're not going to. And his dad is trying to clear him a space, and he did. I can't even stand it. Thank you. So now we have dogs. And they're both in here. So if you hear heavy breathing, it's probably not David. Because he was putting up with me getting ready and panic for the show. It'll be the dogs. But anyway, I laughingly have my friend Al back here, Al Leon, and he is somebody that my husband brought so that he could participate with my shows. He's been here for years, but he doesn't really do much. So he does, look intimidating sometimes, but not that bad. But I can't imagine living in a home with what I believe to be an alien that was not a nice person and that threatened people and caused problems. No. Big no. So, anyway, I am just rambling, and I know that I'm rambling, and I apologize. But I got blown out of the water. I was so shocked because I had the show set up. I was doing all of my uploads for the graphics, and I had finished the video to have put in here. And when I went to log in, it would absolutely not do a thing. And so I downloaded a different browser. I already had Safari and Chrome. And Carl said, well, let's try Opera. So we did. And that did not seem to want to play well either. Um, it wouldn't work on my Windows computer. And so I really was like, I didn't know what to do. Carl didn't know what to do. And he and I were talking through StreamYard on my phone because I could get it up on my phone, which is Safari, right? And so he said, well, let's just do it on your phone. I'm like, I have no makeup and I have no jewelry. Well, earrings, I always wear earrings. And I was like, okay, we'll do it. And so here I am. But I also have a question for you. I am looking for places in Alabama until it gets cool in North Alabama. But I'm kidding. I don't care if it's hot. But Alabama, maybe North Georgia, Northwest Georgia. Um, maybe some in Mississippi. But I'm looking for day trip paranormal investigations. I'm going to try to get with Ronnie D to finally get up to Harriman. God love him. I keep telling him I'm coming up there and I haven't made it yet. And I'm dying to see that place, but there's been so much going on. And then, I'm looking for basically hour to 3 hour drives from here. And I live in Birmingham. If you have any ideas for that, I would appreciate it. I don't mind, you know, booking. I know we're fixing to get into the spooky season, so people are going to be taking bookings. And I just wanted to, try to get some investigations in. I know that when I go south, Denise Pridemore and Ron have moved down to Pensacola, well, Milton.
Cat must be having more difficulties. She popped out of the screen, so we'll wait here a little bit and see if she pops back on. But we want to thank everybody in the chat room over there. Lauren, William, great to see you in there. A lot of people watching on the YouTube side, some on the Facebook side. Yeah, it was quite the experience to try to get this show going tonight because she was having so much technical difficulty. So we'll give it a little bit more time and see what's going on if she pops back in. It's hard to tell. But if you have any questions, post them in the chat room there. I'll see if I can answer them or I'll forward them on to Kat and stuff. I haven't seen her pop up in the green room. So I don't know what's going on. I better pull up my Facebook and see if we get a message from her. But everybody, we want to thank you for joining tonight. We'll check here a little bit and see if I get a message from her on Facebook and stuff. But we'll wait and see if she pops back in a little bit. Let's see. No messages from her yet. So I don't know what's going on. I don't know why, unless her phone died. And she really would be having problems because none of her computers will work for StreamYard tonight. And me and her both was trying to figure it out the 20 minutes before the show started. And all I can think of is all her computers must be in an update mode, updating and not allowing everything to open up. Excuse me. But we'll give her a few more minutes and we'll see. But like I said, if anybody has questions out there, or know any of the locations that she was wanting to go to in that area, post them in the comment section over there. And you can always find cat shows on the Bill of Rights Network on Facebook. And you can also find us on Born TV on Rumble. So all the shows on the network are on both of those channels. So we will see here. I'll check my Facebook again. Oh, no messages from her. So we'll see what goes on here. But yeah, she was talking about Mikey Thompson and Spirit Realm and everything going to be up in St. Joe, Missouri here in a week to 10 days and everything. I'm supposed to meet up with Mikey and maybe Spirit Realm and stuff, and they're going to be coming out to our haunted cemetery. So we'll be live on that when that happens. But give her a couple more minutes and everything, and we'll see what's going on. So how's everybody doing? Here she is. We'll find out what happened.
We don't know what happened, but
I figured your phone died.
it had to have. It just had to have.
Hey, it's a paranormal show. What can you expect?
How much more paranormal are we going to get in one show?
Hey, I've had more than this in one show, let me tell you.
I
But
have to. I
It's
can't
been
fuss.
interesting.
I tell you what, I can't fuss though because I have two. And it's just been nuts. Although it did clear the room of dogs because when it died, everything fell.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh.
So it's just like, yeah, okay. Yeah, okay.
Oh, I know.
So definitely.
Yeah,
it's
I
definitely
was just up here filling in, telling everybody we had technical difficulties and telling them about, because you was talking about Mikey and Spirit Realm coming up here to St. Joe
yes.
here in the next. I'm supposed to meet up with Mikey.
Couple of weeks.
And yeah, a couple weeks, and I'm supposed to meet up with him and take him out to our haunted cemetery.
Yep.
So I don't know if Spirit Realm's coming with us or what's going on. It's hard to tell.
It's always hard to tell. It just depends on the time.
Yeah.
But
And
I haven't even had a chance to talk to David about that yet, but I'm going to.
yeah, there's a lot up there, especially in St. Joe, where they're going to be going to.
Yes.
The locations up there. Yeah. A lot of history.
Well, and it's beautiful. It really is beautiful.
For a
And
small, medium town, you're looking at what, 25,000 people
yeah.
in the town. So, yeah, it's got a lot of history up there. Well, they're going to be going to the Glore Psychiatric Children's Hospital right there. Okay, that's on the grounds of the prison,
I
which
didn't realize that.
the prison used to be what we called the nut house, where all people with psychiatric problems and crazy, it was a crazy place.
Right.
And then they converted it into a prison.
Oh, those poor prisoners. There was some nasty energy.
Oh, if that prison ever shuts down, that place will become the number one hot spot to investigate.
The prison still functions?
Yeah. It's the reception center for the state of Missouri. So
Holy
everybody that gets sent to prison gets sent to St. Joe. And this Glore Children's Hospital sits on the edge of the property of it. When you're out front, you can look at the fence and see the prison.
Wow.
It's right there on Frederick Boulevard.
Carl, that's freaky. I mean, freaky deaky.
Oh, there's a lot right in that area, because then you get down on 9th Street down there where Patey House down there. Jesse James's house that he got shot in is
Yeah.
down there and stuff. There is all kinds of old buildings down there. And if you do come to St. Joe, we have to go to Barbossa's Mexican restaurant and eat.
I'm down with that.
Oh, you're really down for it. It's a castle.
No way.
Yes. And they brought it, this castle was built and brought in from France.
What?
Yeah.
Are you
You'll
full
love
of
it. You walk inside and you feel like you're in the UK.
Oh my goodness.
They've got long tables with the high back chairs, leather, and all that in there. And then upstairs out on the balcony, they got the beer garden. But it is an actual castle.
How awesome is that?
Mm-hmm.
Love that.
Oh, yeah. I used to live in St. Joe, so I know all kinds of places up there, especially you get down in the south end, down there around the livestock area.
Hmm.
You're talking livestock area that's been there since, my God, 1840.
Wow.
Yeah, it's one of the original because down in there is where your Pony Express started. And that's where the mail would start at and go west.
That's fascinating.
Oh yeah,
There's a lot to that area.
you get up here, man, it'd take you a week to see everything up in that
Well,
area.
I'm just going to have to do it in multiple trips because I
Yeah,
would be single if I took a
I
week
know
right
you
now.
would. I
It's,
understand that,
it's the
but
wrong time for our family for a week. But,
right.
it's just really amazing to me because, you know, I I talked to Jeremy. I'm the Alabama um, liaison for things.
Yeah, you're the chapter of things in
Yeah.
Alabama. Yeah.
Yes.
I'm the
And
chapter of things in Missouri.
yes. So I'm trying to kind of get my investigations kicked back up because I've been going everywhere else to do it because the opportunities arose.
Hmm.
And I thought, I have the woman that is the manager of Sloss Now, the director of Sloss Now, because it's a museum, doesn't like the paranormal. But they're about to hit their period here. I think they do a paranormal walking tour like one night a month.
Uh-huh.
So there is still enough living human activity to keep the non living interested. So, and they really are there. So I'm really looking forward to heading that way quietly. And, because I tried to talk with her and I tried to, you know, just say, this is one of the premier haunted locations in the world, definitely in the country. And, you know, you wouldn't have a museum to have come and run if it wasn't for the paranormal community supporting it when no one else would go there.
Right.
But some television personality who we won't name signed his name on the water tower when he was here. And so that kind of got a bad taste in the mouth of people.
Right.
So, but they had their, like, they used to have what they called the Fright Nights at Sloss there. And that was the first time I ever um, had something happen there, was during that event. And I wasn't there for it. I was just walking around checking stuff out. And one of the guys that worked VIP for me, with me, he was a security man at the amphitheater that I worked at. And I came around the corner and something growled at me. And I'm looking for a dog, right? And then because I also volunteered at a haunted house called Atrox here, which was like it was nationally known. It was a cool. It still is. I guess it's still going. But so I was a monster sometimes in that, and I volunteered. I did the parking. I did whatever. But I got to be a monster a lot too, which is fun considering that I hate horror movies. But I and my best friend is a monster, right?
Yeah.
But anyway, so when I heard that sound, I'm looking for trip switches, right? Triggers. And because I didn't see a dog. And I'm looking, and the guy comes walking out, and he was like, "Oh my God, it's you. What are you doing back here? Somebody said that there was somebody back here." And I'm like, "Well, where's the trip switch?" And he's like, "What?" I said, "For the growl. What made the growl? Where did I? Because I can't find it. And I work at Atrox and I can't find this. Where is it?" And he
Mhm.
looked at me and he was just like, "Really?" He said, "This isn't part of the event. This isn't part of the haunt. There's nothing back here." And I'm like, "What?" And he's like, "There's nothing back here. No, you're not, you're in no man's land. You're not supposed to be here."
Right.
And so I was like, "Well, give me another couple of minutes, okay? Let me pull my phone out." But it was wild. It really was wild because that was my first real activity at Sloss. And then an event company that I used to investigate with and promote a good bit were doing an event there. And that's where I actually met Chase Klotsky, who was a former host of Fate, and she is a ufologist. So it was funny because that's where I met her. She was doing a Fate um, remote show, and that's where we met and started talking and hanging out. And now, if I can get to one of the big conferences each year, UFO conferences, then I stand a chance of finding her. But she's one of the most wonderful humans on the planet. She really
Oh,
is.
that's great.
Yeah.
But yeah,
So
I've heard a lot of stories about the big haunted attractions down in Kansas City. Now I'm talking the ones that you walk through a haunted house, right?
yeah,
And the actors and stuff that's in those houses tell you there's a lot of paranormal activity that they can't explain that goes on.
yep,
You know, they're getting ready to jump out and scare somebody, and something goes out before them to scare them. And
yes,
they're like, what happened here? You
yep.
know,
Well,
it's,
I'm going to tell you that doing those events like that creates the activity too,
yeah,
because when we're scaring people, when we're you know um, specific scares, then whatever might still be around there is like, "Oh well, look, that looks fun. Let's do that." I swear to God, they have to, because in a place that gets no traffic at all during the year other than the Halloween season,
right.
it's their chance, right? It's their chance to interact. It's their chance to, yeah, because not everybody is trying to scare you. Some of them are just trying to communicate with you. And, they have all these people, and the energy is so high because people are scared to death. I don't know why people who are that scared go to haunted houses,
They,
right?
they get their adrenaline flowing.
They get
That
some,
energy level gets to flowing. It's their high.
it
It's
must
for a
be.
lot of them.
But I mean, I've seen people that actually peed their pants
Hmm.
on a date. I mean, that's crazy.
I've seen people pass out from being scared.
I have heard about it. I didn't see it,
Yeah,
but
that's something else. When you can actually, you can't scare the life out of them, but you scare them to where they enough that they pass out,
yeah.
and then they're
Well,
right back in it, going, okay,
yes.
yeah,
Well, a lot of times it's that hyperventilation from all the squealing and stuff. So,
It is.
but it's so funny. I think the funniest thing I ever saw when I was working there was a collegiate football team. We won't say which school that's in my state, right? But they were coming through, and over the walkie talkies, we were like, get the women off the floor, get, get in the corners because they're coming through like a freight train. And I'm like, what? They were head to ass the whole way.
Yep.
They were not looking up. They weren't looking sideways. They were just going. And because I was working the clown room that night, I had a cat toy that had a feather on it. And so I just tickled somebody where their t shirt had ridden up. And you talk about tucking a butt and going. It was somebody that I was so mean.
Oh man.
It was freaking hilarious. But
Oh, I know.
but
That's kind of like how I got into the paranormal,
yeah.
right? Okay. My co-founder that's with me is Pastor Gary, known as the Paranormal Pastor.
Yeah.
Right? He was working at the county courthouse down there as a zoning commissioner. Okay. This paranormal group, Dusk to Dawn, Jimmy McVeigh, and everything, had called the county commissioners about investigating the courthouse. And they said, yeah, as long as you had somebody that worked for the county there with you.
Okay.
Because all the doors had access to everything, right? So Gary working down there and everything, there at church, asked me, hey, would you be interested in going to a paranormal investigation? I got to be down there with this group coming in. I go, yeah, that sounds interesting. You know, all I've ever seen is on TV. I want to see what this stuff is in real life. So we get down there, meet them and everything, and they're setting all their equipment up, running all their DVD cameras and everything. And we weren't there 15 minutes. And me and Jimmy is in the juror room setting up the TV and everything, right?
Right.
And the door to the juror room is open a little over halfway. You could see both where we were standing, we could see both sides of the doorknob. Right?
Right.
And for some reason, I turned and looked, and Jimmy did too. And Jimmy goes, did you see? And I said, doorknob. Doorknob was sitting there turning back and forth on both sides. Nobody there. And I go, that was pretty cool. And he goes, that was different. And then one of the guys that sees the spirits come in and go, you know, there's a spirit sitting on the other side of the door in that chair right there, don't you? This is right after we seen the doorknob move.
Yeah.
I went, well, this is interesting. Is this how paranormal investigations go? Well, it went on and everything and stuff. Well, they got done that night. They came up 2 weeks later and showed us the evidence that they'd caught, right? Said, okay. Well, they came up the next time. Me and Gary were back again and stuff. And, of course, we had the courthouse and the old jail that's a separate building together that we're investigating. Well, something happened up in the courtroom. Everybody was going crazy. Me and Gary's up there standing there, and I'm going, uh-huh, yep, uh-huh. You know, they all go running out of the courtroom. Me and Gary sitting there going, okay, what'd they run out for? Jimmy comes back in and goes, you guys weren't scared? And I went, of what? I said, I'm not scared of anything in this courthouse. I've been in here when it's pitch dark. When I was little bitty, we'd sneak into the courthouse through the cold room, right? And go all the way through this courthouse. I said, I've been in here when I was 7 and 8 years old, running around in the dark. You know, there's nothing in here that's going to scare me. In the old jail over there, the jail keepers that lived in the house part of the jail used to babysit me when I was little. Right?
Right.
I can remember Jim giving me the key to go open the cell and tell the people in jail to come out. It was supper time to eat. I mean, it's memories like that. So after the third time they came up, Jimmy got me and Gary aside and talked to me and said, you know, you guys ought to form your own paranormal team and everything and do this courthouse. It's a long drive for us from Kansas City up here every time and everything. You guys would do real good at it. You're not scared of this stuff. And I went, what's there to be scared of? You know, and since then, we started paranormal team and I have been burnt. I have been scratched, you know, all kinds of stuff that I still can't explain.
Yeah. What burned you?
I don't know. We was investigating an apartment, right? Where a lady friend of ours from church said she kept seeing stuff in there. So I set the DV cameras up in there. I went in her bedroom where she said a lot of activity goes on. And I'm got my phone up taking pictures. And they're watching me on the DVR camera out in the living room, right?
Right.
And about that time I go, ouch. It felt like something put a cigarette in my arm. I walked out immediately out of there, had the phone in my hand, and walked over and showed them. And it was already blistered up like a
Wow.
cigarette burn.
Yep.
3 hours later, it was gone.
Yep. They don't last.
Okay. We got done with the investigation, and I went through my pictures. On her wall is one of these shadow boxes
Hmm.
that her son brought back from Afghanistan with his flag and medals in it.
Right.
Down in the corner is a picture of something that is not human. I showed it to her. Well, when she passed away and her son come up to get it, I showed him this picture. And he goes, oh my God. He said, I seen that thing over in Afghanistan. I said, get rid of whatever is in that box or anything and stuff because it's following you in that box
Yep.
and stuff. But yeah, he admitted he had seen whatever this creature was. It had a rounded head, big eyes, and they were either ears or horns coming out that looked like they was about that tall on the side of the head. I'll have to find that picture and send it to you
I'd love to
because
see.
I mean it was weird. But as soon as he seen it, his eyes opened up real big and he went, oh my God. I saw that over there when we was fighting.
Did he see just one?
Mm-hmm.
So it saw him too.
It saw him and either it had to come back with what I told him was, okay, you was in uniform. So the only thing I see in this shadow box is your name tag
Yeah.
that you put in there. I said, more than likely it's with that name tag,
Yeah.
not with your medals because it didn't see the medals on you. When it saw you person to person or person to whatever it was,
Yeah.
the only thing you got in that box is your name tag.
Wow.
I mean, it was wicked.
So he didn't know that there was an image of it in there,
No.
which means it got in there after the box was sealed.
Mm-hmm. Which you put everything in, name tag and all that, and seal it up. So if it was attached to the name tag, it got sealed up inside there.
Yeah.
But it was crystal clear down in the left corner. And you got the box that's about 10 inches tall by 12 inches like that, or 14, something like that, right?
Yeah.
Down here in the corner, it was about 2 inches tall in there.
No, thank you.
Yeah. That's been one of the weirdest things I've seen. I've seen a lot of shadow figures and everything at cemeteries
Yeah.
that we go to and stuff. See, the Kingston Cemetery, which is on the north side of the town there, is one of the oldest cemeteries around. Okay. And it's got an area when you first get there that's blank grass where there used to be an old Mormon school. But you listen to the devices and dowsing rods, when they had a railroad between Kingston and Hamilton, the Chinese built it,
Okay.
right? You can go through the history. There was a big outbreak of plague that killed 3 to 4 to 500 of them. They're buried in that grass. They're buried in that grass area. We've had
So,
plague. We've had plague come out on the Echo Box more than once. The dowsing rods will cross every 3-4 feet down through there.
that's just astounding.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot down there. We seen when we first started investigating it. You pull in, and on the right side, we'd set up and watch the older part of the cemetery. And I gotta find all these pictures. They're on my old laptop. I'm gonna have to get them
Right.
out and everything. But on around this headstone, you see what appears to be two little figures that I would almost call leprechauns, but they have the skinny metal hat that's pointed like the warriors back in uh, Ireland and Scotland and all them war. The ones that came up to a point,
Those warriors were Chinese.
okay, those there. Well, it could be. And had a
Like the
sword,
conquistadors too.
right, had a sword in his hand and a cross deal across the front of him. Caught that by
I
one of
would
the
go with the
headstones.
Chinese.
And it could be because there was a lot. And that railroad, there's no sign of that railroad anymore in between Kingston and Hamilton because
Do
it
you
got
still hear it?
washed out.
Do people still hear trains?
I haven't, and I haven't heard anybody down there say they have. But, and then right on the other side of the gravel road, there's an old barn type building there.
Yeah.
That was the Black Schoolhouse.
Really?
Yeah. You can walk down the main street of Kingston in front of the courthouse and get spirit activity like crazy because the Kansas Raiders came in to town and everybody in town ran to north to the creek. They came in to rob the bank and the courthouse and had a big gun battle out there.
Oh my.
They recreate this every year out there.
And they wonder why there's activity.
Yeah, right.
Seriously.
I mean, it's hilarious. I love it, but yeah, when they recreate it, I sat off to the side and have the Echo Box going with a tape recorder beside it, going, "You guys are saying all this and shooting the guns off, so I'm waiting to hear."
Yeah.
You
There's
know,
going to be somebody responding to that.
because that's what I do a lot of is when we go to certain areas. If there was a gun battle there, I have a recording of different types of gun battles, and I'll play them, and then I'll turn my tape player on
Yeah.
to see if I get a reply back.
That's smart.
Well, you got to try different things. I've even
What do you have
tried.
to do?
I've tried putting movies up with a small video screen showing an old black and white western in
Yeah.
different places.
Did you get responses?
Yes, I did.
That's interesting.
Yeah,
Where
I
did you
mean
put it?
it's you try different things. I mean, if you're going to Bonnie and Clyde's hideout,
Yeah.
right? Why wouldn't you play submachine gun
Yeah.
fire like they did and see if you get a reply? Okay. If you're on a USS Navy ship investigating,
Yes.
okay, play the horns and different sounds that's on a Navy ship. You know, use what was in their time frame that
I
they're
agree
used
with
to.
you. And I don't understand why people don't do that. But I mean, things are so different. Things are so different now than they were 20 years ago,
Yeah.
right? Because we are just clipping right through technology. And so it's easy to miss something because we're so used to it being about us, for certain members of the certain generations or whatever.
Hmm.
But people don't think of that. And I do know that when I've investigated hospitals, I have always played doctor, right? I
Right.
mean, but I had an experience just walking through an old hospital once, and it was one of the best pieces of evidence I've ever caught in my life. It was cool, but it was so unexpected
Hmm.
because we weren't doing anything. We were just doing a walkthrough.
Right.
It was like, oh well, hello. Yes, yes,
Well, that'd be
indeed.
like if you was up in Deadwood,
Yeah,
right?
yes,
If you's on an investigation, get you some cap guns and wear them around your waist and wear a Western hat with a vest on.
yeah,
And I'd bet you would get fire the caps off 2 or 3 times and then turn your recorder on. And I'll bet you would hear gunfire
yeah. I don't.
or
Yeah,
the OK
whatsoever.
Corral, different places like that.
Yeah. That's one of the things that my friend Rick McCollum gets to do is Tombstone, and Mikey too.
Hmm.
And when they're there, that place, I would love to investigate that area because Rick gets random stuff just in the hotels and stuff.
Hmm.
I think that's so neat. Yep,
The four of them from Tombstone.
yep,
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, different things like that. But yeah, you have to think of the area you're in,
yes,
and you also have to think outside the box.
yes. Well,
You know,
because we watch the people on television do these things, and yeah, I actually watched a paranormal show last night. It's the first time I've seen a paranormal television show since God was a child. You know,
hmm
but but it was Amy and Adam, and it was interesting. But because I hadn't seen Chip Coffey in years, and it was nice seeing him in my living room, right? But
right.
I like that guy. But it was so funny because they're investigating at a place that I had heard of, and I was like, "Ooh, there's a lot of stuff in there." you know, I don't know what I would think, but they were talking to a young woman who worked there, and she was being really harassed. And then when they tried to do their investigation, what was harassing her was fed up with them. And they were using the Estes method, and it was really interesting to watch. But I love that. That's one of my favorite things to do.
I do too. And I kind of do it a different way.
How do you do yours?
Okay. I have 1 or 2 people blindfolded.
Yeah.
Okay. Then through my phone on Echo Box, I use it and stuff. I have a double split off where it
Hmm.
can come up to them.
Right.
Or I know I have a triple split off. I mean, 2 of them go up to them so they can hear. One goes in one digital recorder, and then I have another digital and it's recording, and another digital recorder that I started at the same time this one to
Right.
hear what the people say.
Right.
Because if you do the regular Estes method, you can't really hear what the spirit box is saying. You got to go
Right.
by what they're saying. I want to hear what the spirit box is saying to counteract with what they're saying.
Well, but the way that I've always done it is that um, I don't have white noise, right? I
Right.
just have headphones that are, nothing. There's just nothing, which is really dangerous because if you sit there long enough, you can fall asleep.
Yeah.
But not that anyone we know would have ever done that, but just putting that out there. But it really is a good tool. It's a good method to use. In fact, I have Richard Estep coming on with me in December. So that's going to be a fun time to talk about because I like his research and his background too. But I love using methods like that.
Mm-hmm. I
And I
do
like
too.
that you're documenting so well.
Yeah, you gotta document and back it up.
Yes.
You know, and it's just like we always say: you get three mediums, send them into a room for 5 minutes, and come back out. Yeah, all three of them seen something, but all three of them will tell you a different story.
Yep.
Okay, it's the same thing. You're listening to what one person's hearing, another person may be hearing something different.
Yes.
So,
Well, it depends
yeah,
on what they're geared toward too.
right.
Because my level of hearing is a lot different from my husband's.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, I was at rock concerts and, being rowdy and he was playing chess. So he didn't get as much, hard rock exposure, in the front rows as I did. But he could hear a gnat fart from across the room.
Yeah,
And I have to have, sometimes I have to wear amplifiers so that I'm not blowing him out of the room when I'm watching TV. So everybody does that differently. Their
y-
levels are different. So it's nice that you're getting, because they could all have had whatever was happening happen with them, but they weren't geared or they didn't hear that pitch or they weren't facing that way or, there's all kinds of reasons that they don't have the same experience when actually they may all be the same experience, just different parts of it.
right. Well, what I have found out, say I got two people blindfolded
Hmm.
with headsets on.
Hmm.
Okay. Now I've got them wired up to my echo box where they're hearing the echo box.
Hmm.
Okay. Then, like I told you, I have everything recorded back. So we
Yeah.
ask questions. We come back and listen to it and everything. And the echo box says something that we can hear. This person over here hears something different. This person over here heard something completely different.
Yes.
So now I go back through my recording,
Right.
right? And play it back at the same time and go, okay, which one of the three heard this the right one? If we hear one, why did those two hear something different, completely different?
Right.
So it's kind of like, okay, this person's over here. This spirit will let this person hear something different than this one does through the same device.
Yeah.
So
It's a little tricky, isn't it?
it is. I mean, you're not
Tricky and
trying to
tricky.
trick them up. You're trying to figure out, okay, we got
What's
three people
happening?
standing here and the spirit's talking to all three of them. How come all three of them don't have the same thing to say back?
Yes.
Right? They're all different.
Well, there's a lot of different theories about that.
I know. I know.
So,
That's like your show the other night with the static com. That really got me to thinking.
I know, right?
I'm really looking into the white noise part real good now.
Well, I've always loved white noise, but I wasn't kidding when I said that I could hear voices through the sound machines. And so I quit using the white noise setting because
Mhm.
I didn't know what was causing that, you know. And but I do know that when I use like a transistor radio or whatever, that it's pretty much going through the ether, right? And I don't think that's a lot different than putting out the white noise, that it's still
Right.
coming through. It has a platform to come through on.
Right.
And
The white noise has a frequency of its own
it does.
to where your Hack Shack radios and
Yeah.
everything like that, you're picking up bits and pieces of radio stations.
Yes.
Plus, on top of that, you're picking up 100 and some years worth of audio that's
Yeah.
floating around in our atmosphere that
It's
can be
still out.
picked up. I mean, who would love be doing a live paranormal investigation and Orson Welles, War of the Worlds, come over the device, you know, in
Yep.
bits and pieces because it's out there floating around.
Yes.
And people don't realize that.
Well, if you put it out there and there's not a way for it to dissipate, I mean, how do we know how that dissipates? Right?
Right.
It's something that's an unknown.
Hmm. Oh,
And
I
I
know
would
about
say
the
that that was
frequencies.
one of the
That's what I did in the military. I was a communications specialist.
oh
And
fun.
I mean, just different things like that. And your static noise. Why do you think? Okay, you look at static noise. Look at the movie Poltergeist.
Yep.
What was the TV doing?
Yep.
They're here
Yep.
and stuff. So, yeah, white noise, it's a noise in there. If it's the frequency and they've got the energy to talk to it, white noise cannot make a sound, a word,
No.
you know. And that's what I like about it. I like devices that can't make a word, you
Well,
know.
I'll tell you that if you haven't already, those little um those little baby sound machines are the bomb. They
Right.
really are. I was so impressed with that.
Yeah. That's just like everybody uses the Ovilus, right?
Yeah. I don't.
I don't either.
It's a
Okay.
word bank.
It has a bank of words already built into it.
Yeah.
But what a lot of people did not know was that Ovilus has a microphone built inside of it.
Yes.
A friend of ours tore one apart and found it
Yeah.
and stuff. So when you're asking a question, that microphone picks up a key word. It in there, it's automatically going to throw 3 or 4 words out that would
Really.
randomly go with it.
Yes.
Who's here? If it's got a bank of 25 names in it, guess what? One of them's going to come up.
And one of them will match.
Yep,
Yeah.
it will.
I've often thought that, and I have people that swear by their oviluses, and
Uh
I'm
huh.
just like, use. I mean, I get stuff just on a basic tape recorder, digital voice recorder now, but I get great just pulled out of the air words. I don't like using something that can contaminate.
Right, right.
And I was at SLOS doing an investigation, and I got 3 different voices, and they were ragging on each other because I asked a question, got an answer, the other guy agreed, and then the last guy was like offended by the first answer. And I was just like, oh my gosh, I
Mm.
had no idea I had that. And because I wasn't live listening, I was just, you know, I was walking out the door, had to go back down, was coming back up and heard moving around the inverters. And I just turned on my recorder and just asked the question. And when I got in the car and I heard it, I was like, oh my God, I can't believe I got that. So it's funny that the ones that really blow you out of the water, you never forget. And then
Oh yeah.
some of the
I mean,
others,
the
you
first
did.
one I ever got, I got it with the Echo Box
Yeah.
and everything. I had just gotten that device and everything on my phone. It's an app. So I was working at the courthouse for a few nights and everything. Got done. I went to the cemetery at the north end of town, the one I was telling you about,
Yeah.
and that's where my grandfather is buried. And my grandfather and me were real close. I'm his namesake. We both
Right.
had the first same name, but he didn't want little Carl and big Carl. So he had a special name for me. So I go out. His grave is right there by the edge of the road
Right.
and stuff. I shut the vehicle off, roll the window out. It's December. Nice, cool, crisp, quiet night. Got the Echo Box going, got my tape recorder going beside it, right? Because I never record anything on the phone through Echo Box, never. So I sat there and I asked, is Carl Llewellyn here? Not a thing came over the Echo Box. It went quiet. And I'm sitting there thinking, you know what, dummy? You never called Papa by his real name.
No.
Never, never. I went, okay, Papa, are you here? And this word came over and said, hi, just as crystal clear. I could hear it plain as day.
Yeah.
I went, okay, do you know who this is? 3 seconds later, the Echo Box goes, Butch. Butch was my name Papa gave me when I
Wow.
was little, that everybody in my family knew and only close friends,
Yeah.
right? So after I heard that and everything, I was kind of shocked and blown away. I was like, man, this thing works, you know? So a couple of days later, I met up with my older sister and brother. I said, you guys got to hear this. So I played it, and both their mouths dropped open. They went, oh my God, that's Papa's voice. And I went, yeah, because you hear the stuttering, you hear the but like that. The last 6 months of his life, he'd had a major stroke, and when he
Oh,
talked, he stuttered.
there you go.
And I went, oh man. After that, I was sold on this device.
Right.
Automatic. Because I'm sitting there going, okay, there's no way the creator of this app,
Right.
it's in airplane mode, my microphone is shut off completely and everything. And there's no way he could have put that in there knowing the exact date and time, that if I would have bought the app, that I would play it down here and ask that question.
Exactly.
There's no possible way. Well, talking to Denise and everything, Ron uses it. Denise, being in the data world she's in, she got permission and tore the app apart. It cannot make a word. It cannot. It's on phonetic sounds.
Oh, wow.
You didn't know that on EchoBox?
I did not know that on Echo
There's
Box.
6 banks. There's 6 banks of phonetic sounds. It can't even make the word Bob. It can't make the word
Really?
mom. And we've had full sentences in German, Italian, French, English come out.
Wow.
Me and Ron, even up at the Sally house, when I was up there helping him do tours, by accident, he had his Echo Box going and I had my Echo Box going, and we were beside each other, and they started talking to each other over
No.
the Echo Box. Yeah.
Whoa.
So me and Ron named it Dueling Echo Box. We'd set two of them up and ask a question. One would
That's
start
awesome.
talking, the other one would say wrong, and then they would start talking back and forth.
That is so cool.
But that app has no words in it whatsoever. That's the only reason why me and Ron use it all the time.
Right.
Because if it's not Denise approved, we don't use it.
No, I'm kind of like that too. But
But yeah,
of course, I like investigating with Denise so that she can tell me
Denise
what.
and Ron, I've
Yeah.
investigated. Matter of fact, October the 26th, I will be with them at Ashmore
Yeah.
and stuff. So, yeah, at least once a year now, we'll all get together because Ron and Denise and me and Gary have become very close friends over the last several years
I
since
know.
we met her. You
Yeah.
know, I found her on a radio show in March
Yeah.
and listened to her and was commenting all the time and everything, asking about equipment, what equipment, what equipment. So I got to be known as the equipment asker on
Yeah.
the show. Well, then in April, 2 months later, she asked me and Gary to be on her show.
Yeah.
So we were on her show. And then August, we went to the KC Paracon down in Independence and met Denise and Ron for the very first time.
Yeah.
That's how we met. Same day I met David Glidden, Rick
Oh,
Rowe.
he's such a cool guy.
Oh, yeah. Matter of fact, David Glidden will be with us at Ashmore.
I like him.
He does some good work.
He does some great work.
Yeah. He does.
And he's very humble.
Yeah, he is. He very is. We was at the big roundup down here in Lexington, Missouri, and David was up there. He didn't know nobody up there and stuff like he normally does when he goes to these places. They invited him up to be a speaker. So he knew me and my whole crew that was with me. So he stayed at our campground the entire weekend and we helped him with his table and
Yeah.
stuff. I said, that's what friends in the paranormal do.
It
We
is.
help each other.
Well, that was one of my favorite things about doing that Pensacola Paracon was when, Ron and Denise came by, and Denise was like, "I'll sit with you." I'm like, "Yay, come talk!" And because I was next to Chris and Mike with Wraith Chasers, but I was I had this great big old table by myself, and I can talk the ears off a brass mule, so it doesn't bother me to be by myself because I'm going to find somebody. But and I always bring candy, so kids always come and talk to me.
Oh, yeah.
But, and they bring their parents with them, so it's fun. But it was so much fun just to get to hang out with them because it had been a long time.
It
A long
is. We did a lot. I mean, up there that year, I helped them at the Sally House and got to helping them so much that me and Gary had to take over the Sally House one Saturday because they were going to be at McPike
right.
for the weekend. So we ran the Sally House that day. 300 people came in that day. And what was worse, we got those 300 done, got them out by 5 o'clock, took the key back over to the museum, stopped by McDonald's, grabbed a sandwich, and hauled butt to Kansas City because we had an investigation with another team at an old hospital in Kansas City.
That's funny.
So we started at 10 o'clock that day, getting up there and getting everything all ready for Sally House. And then we got out of Kansas City at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Oh my gosh, what a long day.
Oh, it was, but it was that investigate. I've been investigated a lot of places. I've never had to go in a place where before you did the investigation, you had to go with armed people and clear the building
Yeah.
and everything. And we did. And I was like, are you kidding me?
I
Well,
had to
down
do
in
it
this
one
part of
place
Kansas
here.
City, I could understand.
Yeah.
And while we was clearing it, I told them, get chairs and block certain rooms off here. There was piles of hypodermic needles I'm talking 2 foot high in these rooms.
Were they used?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
I said, put chairs in front. Tell everybody if there's chairs in front of a door, do not walk in that room.
Yeah.
And then we had an elevator that had an open door. We had to block it off so everybody upstairs on third floor wouldn't fall down.
Holy wow.
Oh, this was, yeah. And this was a place that they're turning into townhouses. Yeah. And
I don't
quite,
think I'll be buying there.
it was quite haunted.
I don't think I'll be buying there.
No, I wouldn't either. Matter of fact, I think last I heard, they quit building.
Yeah.
It was costing too much, and nobody wanted to live down in the drug-ridden part of Kansas City.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
It's amazing what developers do, right?
it is. I mean, we sat there and went through this whole building, and this hospital looked like the people vanished. There was reports on the desks and
That's what
everything.
happened at the hospital I told you I was at. I mean, even the bed linens were on the beds, the computers were still on the desk, the paperwork was all still there, the scrubs. I mean, they just locked the doors
Yeah.
and left everything. And I mean, they were the old CRT terminals, right?
Hmm.
But they were on every desk. It was completely still furnished. And it was the 80s. It had to be the 80s or maybe 90s when it shut down because they had the big, cabbage rose curtains and,
Oh, yeah.
linens and stuff. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And I actually was born in that hospital. So that was trippy dippy for me.
Yeah, but that gets me. They walk off and leave. Everybody's files there, everybody's
Yep.
history.
Yep.
And I'm like, my God. Most of these people are dead by now, but still, the
But
point
still,
being, look at the people that could hack in on this information.
yeah, all the personalities or all the identities that could be sold.
Right. I mean, we went down on the ground floor, which is on what you call the basement area, and went
Mhm.
back into a room, and we walked into this gigantic open room. There was 2 generators in there that were as big as a semi truck,
Oh
just the
wow.
truck part. They were 12-cylinder diesel engines, and I mean they're 8, 9 foot tall and probably 8 foot wide,
Oh my God.
right? And I'm sitting there going, my God, you know what that's worth?
Yep.
If it could supply enough power to power this entire hospital, it could supply enough power to power a small town.
Yep.
And I was like, now how they get them out of here?
Exactly.
That was it.
Well,
They brought them in and sealed it up with concrete blocks.
yep. Well, the hospital I was talking about, they had one of those uh, I want to say a barometric chamber that people with wounds get into to heal the wounds.
Right.
And I just thought, wow, this this was somebody else could have used that, right?
Yeah.
And especially like some small hospital down on the coast or something. If you had a diver with the bins, they would be looking for one of those.
Oh, yeah.
But it was just kind of like, and the computers were the 80s computers, the big units that stood like this tall, you know, and the size of a Volvo. And, that was their CPUs for their networks.
Hmm.
And, everything was still on those.
Oh, yeah.
So not just the files and not just the equipment, but, they had all
Everything.
the gurneys, they had everything in the, OR suites and stuff. And that just amazed me. And we had to have the police go through there because they insisted. because of the homeless that were living there.
Right. That's the same way with down there. It was the homeless, the druggies, and all this and
Yeah.
that. That the police, they'll run them out. They won't arrest them. They'll run them
No,
out.
they don't want, they're not interested in arresting them and making
No,
them have to do bail and stuff. They just,
they're not.
you can't be, but
They just told us, the police that came there and everything at night just said, now be careful doing your investigation because it could be empty now, but come midnight, you could be walking down a hallway and run into somebody
yeah,
because there's 10 million ways of getting into this place.
yeah, that's how the hospital was
And
too.
I went, that's all right. I got something for them. So
Yeah,
I ain't worried about it. But yeah, I mean, it's, yeah. I investigated that place twice. And I said, that's enough for me.
yeah.
I just didn't like leaving that area at 2 and 3 o'clock in the morning.
Well, me either. And it's actually tragic, right? Because that used to be such a fantastic area. The
Mhm.
homes are beautiful, and nobody really wants to live there. I hope that they're going to, decide to do differently before it all falls apart, because it is a
Oh,
beautiful area.
oh, I know. It's sad what happens. That's
It
why in these small old towns, I hate seeing these old buildings crumbling down.
Yeah,
The history that goes with it, especially when you're in small rural communities like we are up here,
yeah,
and the old buildings get tore down. I'm like, people, you're tearing down the history. There's stories that go with that building.
yeah. But they don't care.
No.
Got to put up a new Walmart or something.
Yeah. Oh, I know. New Dollar General, new Walmart, just
I tell you what,
something.
Dollar Generals are coming up everywhere. That is that has to be the fastest growing retailer in America.
It is
I think
because
it
you
is.
got to realize 85% of those stores aren't company owned.
Yes, I do know that.
And you buy your franchise, it costs you $1 million to get the building built and stocked, turnkey
Yeah,
operation. But you make it back real quick
yeah.
because you put it in a small town. I mean, we got a Dollar General and a Family Tree and a Family Dollar here in
Hmm.
Gallatin. 1,800 people.
Oh wow.
Okay. I'll go to Altamont, which is 5 miles down the road, and they got a brand new Dollar General there. I go to Hamilton, 13 miles south, they got a brand new Dollar General down there. So your Dollar General works on your area that you're in. That's all
Right.
it does. But what helps ours out is we have Lake Viking up here
Ah,
and stuff that the people come in from the city that own lots up there. They
yeah,
come into town and get a lot of stuff from Dollar General and the grocery store and go back out.
yeah.
So,
What I would do.
yeah, it helps out a bunch. But yeah, it's amazing. But Dollar General and then your Dollar Tree and Family Tree are in the same building together. So when you
Okay.
go in there, you really got to watch what you're getting.
Yeah,
It could be Family Dollar or it could be Dollar Tree. And one of them ain't a dollar.
I gotcha. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. I've ran into a lot of that up there. But if you look at all the new Dollar Generals, look at all the grocery items and now coolers they have
Yeah,
in them.
yeah.
They're a small grocery store.
Well, it's like a bodega in New York. You know, it's that's what it is. It's a rural bodega.
Hmm.
So
But what makes it nice is you have all these haunted locations out in the middle of nowhere.
yeah.
There's a Dollar General or a
By
Dollar
God,
Tree right there beside them somewhere.
you're gonna get your
That or
value.
Casey's. Got to have a Casey's General Store there
Yeah.
so you can order your pizza.
We do not have those, but I've heard of them.
Oh, they're all up in here. The main headquarters is in Iowa.
Okay.
I can take you a town in Iowa. When we was going to Melbourne, we went up
Right.
35 and went across and everything. There's this town of 1,500 people, right?
Right.
There's 6 Casey's in that town.
Good stuff then.
One of the very first Casey's is in that town and it's still open.
Wow.
But
That's
because
cool.
it's a trucking area intersection there with places to haul stuff out of, they
Right.
have all these Casey's. They even have 2 Casey's within 2 blocks of each other. One basically for the truckers and one for the people in town.
Oh, that's funny.
It is. We drove through that town and I went, there's a Casey's. There's a Casey's. There's a Casey's. There's a Gary's going, we're not even out of town yet. I go, I know. My Lord. But yeah. And that's not even the main headquarters for them.
Really.
Yeah. I was like, boy, Casey's is just spending money like crazy.
Well, I'm going to tell you, we were talking about Dollar General. They built a Dollar General a block off the beach in Gulf Shores.
Mm-hmm.
That property, God only knows what that property cost. And they go like gangbusters.
Oh, yeah. Because they're making a fortune.
They are. And I mean, it's right there. If you need sunscreen or you know, it's right there.
Sunscreen, paper towws. If
Yep.
you're going to have a picnic down there, you forgot your paper plates or a
Yep.
cooler, they've got it right there. Boom, boom, boom. It's,
They do.
money, 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 money. I'd like to see their daily sales is what
Oh,
I'd like to see.
I'd like to see them at that store because whoever did that was brilliant.
Oh, yeah. Whoever bought that property and said, I want a Dollar General here.
Yeah.
And I bet if you investigate it and find out, I'll bet that one's corporate owned.
Mm, I think I know who would have done it, but he owns everything in Gulf Shores and he buys all of the property as it comes up. So he's a
Yeah.
very shrewd and smart guy.
Yeah. Probably that's who it is. But yeah, I mean, that's the way to go anymore. Up here, it's in every small town. If there's a Casey's, there's a Dollar General.
Yeah.
So,
Again, you're going to need the paper towel and paper plates.
and you need gas. You
And you
need
need
cold
gas.
drinks. You need your beer. You need everything you can get is in
Yeah.
those 2 stores right there.
Do y'all have Buc-ee's? Nope.
Buc-ee's hasn't made it up here yet.
We have one here and we have one down toward Gulf Shores. And it is crazy. And I tell you what, I would love, in about 5 years' time, I would love to go and investigate one of those.
Oh, yeah.
Because with all of the travel and tourism that goes through them, there's got to be so much energy.
There's got to be. And Buc-ee's and everything, I've seen them on a lot of YouTube channels,
Yeah.
especially out in Utah, right? And stuff. And everybody loves them. They
Yes,
love
they
going
do.
there and shopping and getting everything. Because isn't Buc-ee's the one that does the beaver nuggets?
Yes, they are.
Yeah, they say everybody loves them.
And they're addictive. I had to quit eating them.
Yeah, that's what I hear. They're addictive. Everybody. If you watch
Well, they're corn
Fab,
syrup.
Fab Rats on YouTube, people
Mhm.
are sending them boxes all the time and they open it up and go, oh, we got our beaver nuggets. Beaver nuggets or jerky.
Yeah,
But everybody has a good time in there. So if you
they
pass
do.
away, don't you go to places where you had good experiences and enjoyed yourself?
Oh, yeah.
So,
I
yeah,
mean,
I'm
if they
like
had a
you. I'd
sheet and
love to
they,
investigate.
yeah, there'd be so much energy there
Oh, I
just
know.
from the sheer volume of auras that pass through.
That's like being an over the road truck driver for 20 years. I'd love to investigate I-80 truck stop,
Yes.
the world's largest truck stop up there. They have anywhere between 2,000 to 3,000 truck drivers a day
Really?
go through there and park and eat. It's its own little town, just like Gallup, New Mexico
Yeah.
has a truck stop out there. It's its own little town.
Yeah.
The fuel tanks that they make the fuel and haul it in from is right across the road. All they did was pipe a pipe in to the truck stop.
That was brilliant.
Yeah, they got a post office in there, movie theaters in there, hotel in there, grocery store. You can live there.
I could
I
have
know.
used something like
I
that when
stopped there many a times.
we could have used something on that level when we got trapped in Amsterdam coming home from Scotland.
Yeah, that was. Yeah, I heard your story on that. That'd be
Uh,
wicked.
It was just frustrating. 19 hours. That's a long time to be in a little bitty airport.
Yes, it is.
So,
It
but
is.
what doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
Yep,
Next
that's
time I'll
right.
be a much squeakier wheel. I was pretty squeaky. I really was pretty squeaky. But
Yeah, I've been overseas one time, and that's enough for me.
well,
Enough.
I love different. And I mean, I already knew how haunted Scotland was. My friends are Scottish paranormal, right?
Right.
And Rick had told us. So when the opportunity arose to go, I did not think that the tour operator was going to be such a slime ball. So, you know, you live, you learn. And that was somebody that's very strong in the paranormal community. But now she's kind of made herself a joke. So that's tragic.
I
But
know.
it happens when you don't have good ethics.
Yeah,
But anyway, so I did get to investigate Scotland. So that was cool.
that's
And,
good.
you know, and the next time that that it's a holiday or something, we're going to go ahead and do that video because it's rocking. So, and for everybody listening, I'm so sorry that we had so many glitches because it was going to be so much fun. And it turned out to be a different kind of fun. So I hope that you enjoyed hearing about Carl's experiences up there as we talk about all the paranormal places that we've been and want to go.
Yeah.
But it's just really, it's fun. And I love being able to share stuff that matters to me, just like everybody else does. So, and I've now I know how to do video in this program, and I know how to do images, and I know now how to see them myself, so I don't have to say, Carl, can you read this?
That's all right.
And after the show, that was a nice lesson. So now I have it. And, I just have to tell everyone that follows this show, thank you so much because I know that this is a learning curve for me. And I don't know what happened tonight, but Carl and I are going to be figuring it out because it was weird.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I mean, it's working on this browser on my phone, but it wouldn't work on the same browser on anything else.
The only thing I could come up with, and I was telling them about it while you was off trying to come back on,
Yeah.
it's strange that two different computers, a Mac and a Windows, did the same
Yes.
thing.
Yes.
I'm just wondering if both of them weren't updating.
That could be.
That's something we had to check. Because if they were updating, yeah, you can't do nothing.
Well, it doesn't seem like they would be updating during prime time.
You
But you never
never
know.
know.
Well, it depends on where they're based also, because it may not be prime time where they are.
Exactly.
So,
Exactly. Because,
but
I
either,
mean, people, she tried it on a Mac, she tried it on a Windows.
and I
But,
tried it on my iPad.
and it still wouldn't work on the iPad either?
No, but it did work on my iPhone. So I'm still on Safari.
I know.
Uh,
And it's doing great. Got great
yeah,
picture, great sound. You can always fall back on this. Remember that.
I will. I will. And because normally I am in there, got everything grieving, and still come in like 20 to 30 minutes before showtime just to play with my stuff.
Right.
And I couldn't get there.
Mm.
And I'm like, you were just working. I just uploaded something. So there you go.
Yeah. And StreamYard has been working on especially cell phones, whether it be Android or Apple. They're trying to make it to like on our computers where we can present and share a video or share screen
Yes.
tab up there. On phones, you can't do that.
No.
But they are working trying to get that set up. It's hard to do it on a phone and
Well, your
everything.
space is so limited.
It is. That's
Yeah.
why if you turn it sideways, at least you can see the comments a lot better
Yes.
over there.
Yeah.
And it gives you a full screen instead of the little narrow one.
Yes.
But we'll get it figured out.
We will. And it's so much better than it was. So, and I just appreciate you. Thank you.
So it's no problem, Kat. No problem at all.
So, for everyone listening, thank you too, because I know that, you know, we were late, but thank you for being here. And if you're listening to this after, everything was perfect. There were no problems whatsoever.
Yeah,
It
we
was
got
a
them all
perfect
straightened
show.
out, can't you tell?
But oh my goodness. Thanks, Carl.
No problem.
You
Oh,
rock. I
right.
appreciate you.
And
And yeah, we were talking about Denise and Ron, and I'm going to get them back on here before long because I just have so much fun talking to them. And they have become the chapter of things in Florida.
yeah,
So we're going to be doing stuff together down there too. So they have a fort in Pensacola. I have a fort in Gulf Shores. So, and I know mine's haunted. They actually have a couple of forts. So we're going to go and do some investigating.
right.
So
You
they
need to
just,
get Ron and Denise on, me
yes,
on, and
yes,
get Jeremy York, the
yeah,
owner of Things Network, all all of us on there at one time.
we will.
That way we have a whole Things Network going on.
Yeah, we can get
And
Nick
thank
too.
you.
But I'm trying to give Jeremy time to heal.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I'm letting him get to where he's comfortable and ready to do it. And then we will do that group show.
right.
So he just had a pretty big surgery,
Yeah, he did.
but he's doing fantastic. I'm so glad that he did that. And he is too. So, and coming back from an injury is hard, especially when there's steps you have to take to get back to where you were.
Yeah,
And I'm really so impressed with his bravery in doing all that.
yeah. He's came a long ways with it.
He has, but he had a long way to go.
Yes,
So,
he did.
but now he's getting there.
Yep.
So, and that being said, we're at time. So, Carl, thank you for coming and sharing so much with us. I appreciate you.
No problem.
And for everyone listening, I appreciate you too. And it is getting better. This was just kind of like a woo. So, we'll be better. Talk to y'all soon. Same cat time, same cat channel. Good night.